Good afternoon and welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. UVM boasts over 275 recognized student organizations. We featured a few of these over the years, from fencing to timber sports. Today we're looking into the UVM Wildlife Fisheries Society. Joining me is our own Caleb May, who is a junior at UVM and a contributor to our program. Good to see you, Caleb.
Happy to be here.
And so you're part of the Wildlife Fisheries Society. Can you tell me a little about the group?
Right, it's a student organization for anyone, not just in the biology field. And they get really interesting hands-on experience doing deer checks, duck checks, working at fish farms, just stuff you wouldn't get in your everyday classroom.
Absolutely, and we're about to see one of your stories about the program. Tell me about it.
Last fall, I went up to the Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge to take part in a duck check. The Wildlife and Fisheries Society was there to get hands-on experience with conservation methods that you can't learn in school.
Missisquoi is established in 1943 for waterfowl conservation, so it was recognized long ago as a really significant waterfowl habitat. It is now known as the single most probably important waterfowl habitat on the Champlain Basin.
A cold, rainy day in Vermont is normally the type of weather that drives people inside. But as the saying goes, it is a lovely day for ducks. Local duck hunters gather at the Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge to harvest birds from one of the best spots for waterfowl in Vermont. Today, a popular UVM student organization is turning this duck hunt into an educational experience.
We are doing a little educational project with the University of Vermont's Fish and Wildlife Society. We had a class last week to do waterfowl identification for them, and then today they're going to test their skills live at this boat ramp. When waterfowl hunters bring ducks in from their harvest for the morning, they will practice their identification skills with live birds.
So what exactly is the Wildlife and Fisheries Society? I met with Vice President Vegas Rockefeller to find out more.
We're a student chapter of the National Wildlife Society. And here at UVM, we're the Wildlife and Fisheries Society because of our Wildlife and Fisheries biology program. We engage with the student body. They don't have to be wildlife bio majors or fish bio for that matter. And if you are interested in wildlife and want to experience interacting with wildlife and wildlife conservation, then we're the group for you. We hold events throughout both semesters. One of our most popular is the deer check station. And then we also hold other events like the waterfowl check.
A deer check, like a waterfowl check, is meant to make sure hunters are abiding by Vermont state laws. These events are also used to conduct scientific studies on Vermont's animal populations. Last year, UVM students involved in the deer check were cited as authors on a study about the presence of COVID in deer populations. Both checks provide invaluable experience.
I mean, I did have to wake up at like 5 a.m., but I'm glad to be here. It's a great experience getting to talk to some game wardens and see some birds firsthand up and close. Like, that's some good experience that you can't really can't say yes to every week, so. Like, field work is so, it's really centralized at UVM, it's really focused on, and I think there's a reason for it. Like, the things that I can learn in the field, like, for instance, today is, invaluable in comparison to what I can learn in the classroom. Just getting that experience, helps me remember the ID, helps me, learn tips and tricks for how to ID, and also just, gives me a greater appreciation for what we're doing here today.
I love birds, that's what I want to do, and I love any experience I can get, and I was here this weekend for once, so I was like, why not take a jump on it and get some real life experience?
For Ken, this is all about giving back to his alma mater, setting students up for the future, and having a little fun.
But I also generally get a lot of joy out of connecting with students that will be graduating from University of Vermont. I felt like the program I graduated from prepared me really well for a career as a wildlife biologist, and I want to perpetuate that with the students now.
As a staple on UVM's campus, the Wildlife and Fisheries Society is sure to keep programs like this going in the future. And for board member Aaron Vostel, it can mean everything.
I think this club is extremely important to students here, and not just wildlife biology students, but all types of students. Had I not had the experience as I had as a freshman and even going into my sophomore year with this club, I don't know if I would have been as excited to continue on with my degree in this program.
Beautiful, right?
From Missisquoi National Wildlife Refuge, I'm Caleb May with Across the Fence.
Thank you, Caleb. February is Black History Month, and although Vermont has the second whitest population in the country, the rights and causes of African Americans have deep roots in the Green Mountain State. In our next story, historian Howard Coffin brings us to several towns in Vermont where famous abolitionists were both cheered and jeered. Here's Howard.
Vermont's anti-slavery reputation, of course, goes back to 1777 when a constitution was adopted that was the first in the Western Hemisphere to outlaw slavery. People with anti-slavery sentiments came to Vermont. In 1828, William Lloyd Garrison from Boston came to Bennington to publish an anti-slavery newspaper. He left with mixed feelings about Vermonters and abolitionism, but he was soon back proclaiming that Vermont was the state to plant the banner of anti-slavery on the summit of the Green Mountains. The abolitionists came again and again. Frederick Douglass, Wendell Phillips, Charles Sumner, and of course John Brown. Garrison came time and again to spread their message as the Civil War neared. Garrison was invited to speak in Randolph in 1858. He strongly criticized a government that supported slavery. If the government is corrupt, put it away and make a new government, he said. It is the right and duty of the people to alter and abolish it. That is what I was taught by George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, and I thank them for that. Strong words, so strong indeed that when he wanted to speak 4 years later, in 1862, the town said no. Having been essentially banned in Randolph, Garrison came up the hill to nearby Braintree at the invitation of Reverend Amy Nichols, pastor of this meeting house. Before he went in to speak, Garrison stopped for a moment to look at the beautiful scenery. Nichols described what happened in the meeting hall. He said that such a country could be peopled only by those who love liberty. And since they insist on freedom for themselves, they should insist on freedom for all people. This church in Randolph Center bore witness to the fact that not all abolitionists got a warm welcome in Vermont. Orson Murray of Brandon went on a speaking tour in 1838. He was harassed in Windsor and Burlington, and then on coming here to Randolph Center, Abby Hemingway, the historian, said there was a strong feeling of opposition to this meeting, and boys and men, moved by the seditious spirit, came with eggs and other missiles and succeeded in driving Mr. Murray from the place of meeting. A temporary peace was organized, though, and most powerful men physically were stationed in various parts of the house, and thus the meeting passed quietly. The Reverend Ethan Robinson Johnston was pastor of this East Topsom Church before the Civil War, and this building was built in 1853. Johnston was very much anti-slavery, and in the years before the war, he brought abolitionists here to speak. William Wells Brown was born in 1814, a slave in Kentucky. He eventually escaped across the Ohio River and went to England for a time, where he was self-educated. Reverend Johnston brought him here in 1860, despite the fact that when word got out of his impending arrival, a letter came to the Reverend threatening that if Brown showed up, he would be carried out of town. A couple weeks after he spoke, someone painted on the church walls a slogan, "Death to traitors," and it included some other racist talk. Charles Duvall, who had spoken in favor of John Brown, became a soldier in the Vermont Brigade and died in 1864 after the Battle of the Wilderness. Reverend Johnston went to New York City to try to find him in the military hospitals there, but when he got there, he was dead. He brought the body home. The funeral was held in this church. It had been the tradition of the church that caskets remained out in the vestibule, but for Charles Duvall's funeral, the casket came here to the altar.
If you enjoyed our story on Vermont's abolitionist past, we have several videos featuring Howard talking about Vermont life in the 19th century and during the Civil War on our YouTube channel. Search Across the Fence on YouTube to find more. That wraps up our program for today. My thanks to the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX. I'm Jolie Whitney. Have a good one.